Tell me where the Jedi is!
Uses the Force for knowledge and defense.
Bypass the compressor.
Yes,
These are the reasons I serve you, Lady Grease.
Sold them to the white slavers that take these things and
Kill it.
I know there's good in you. I'm not who I used to be.
Jedi are cowards.
I will kill I must.
Set your course for Alderaan.
Darth.
I mean, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on, truly.
Star Wars is dead because the $4.05 billion Disney paid for it has forced the franchise to be in a sort of coma, in a state where everything remains the same, so they can tell the same story over and over and sell it with a different poster. You can consume the show about a tough rebel girl fighting Empire warriors. You can also play Ubisoft's upcoming open-world game featuring a rebel chick fighting Empire warriors. Or you can wait for the series featuring a tough girl fighting Empire warriors with a lightsaber.
Woman-centered world.
We're looking at the result of the corporate approach to nerd culture. It's a 6-step process that leads every geek property to ruin.
As Tolkien famously wrote, not all those who wander are lost.
Step 1. Massive production companies purchase the rights of an old intellectual property with an established audience. The rule of thumb is looking for old IPs that appeal mostly to boys and young men, like Star Wars, Star Trek, The Lord of the Rings, or Marvel. That's because nerd properties make a lot of money with merchandising. Step 2. The corporation promises new content for the product years before they have a plan or a script. Big corporations think the name of their studios is enough to create a buzz, so they proceed to confuse their marketing noise with true audience interest. Step 3. Before clear ideas come out, the studio is already coming up with movie titles and posters. Logos before plans are quite evident on both Marvel Cinematic Studios and Lucasfilm.
As you can see, this is a new era for Star Wars and Lucasfilm.
The executives order a series or a movie about a certain character. Then, they set a release date based on shareholder expectations. Because it's an order rather than an idea, the creative team can't even come up with a proper title for the content. They just use the character's name or the last name, which is why we get stuff like Solo, Ahsoka, Boba Fett, Echo, Agatha Harkness, or Loki.
That's a great idea!
However, as the studios approach the supposed release date for their empty posters, they realize that the marketing team can't write, and that writing is not a talent you can buy. Step 4. They change the very essence of the product. This happens due to many reasons, but mainly it is because modern writers don't understand the original authors or the story. Their lack of talent translates into political agendas, postmodern values, low-quality writing, and ultimately low-quality production. The agenda is there for 2 reasons. First, it generates free publicity and audience interaction. The studios love audience interaction, good or bad, because they mistakenly believe it translates into customers. Secondly, it fulfills the studio obligations. The current USA government is left-leaning, and the most powerful investment funds in the world are left-leaning as well. So putting socialism, feminism, gender ideology, and woke ideology into the productions allows the studios to negotiate sweet multi-million-dollar deals, tax breaks, subsidies, loans, and other investments. Never mistake it for true altruism. Step 5. The studios produce as much stuff as possible to keep people coming back. It is content for the sake of content. It doesn't matter if it's good, if it breaks canon, or if it's the same as before. The only thing that matters is making money, and studios believe that brand recognition is enough to do so. Finally, 6. The studios release the product and expect you to
just consume product and then get excited for next product.
Let's recap. Disney bought Star Wars for $4 billion. They wanted to make it back, but they had no creative ideas to do so. George Lucas wrote Star Wars out of sheer passion for storytelling. Kathleen Kennedy has continued the saga to recoup an investment and open a new theme park. Rise of Skywalker, the last movie in their sequel saga, had about half the audience as Force Awakens. The sequel trilogy was so bad that it downgraded Star Wars into streaming content. Nowadays, even their flagship show, The Mandalorian, is losing its audience. So it's no surprise that most of the posters they have created end up in the trash. A Zack Snyder Star Wars movie. Save Martha. No thanks. Star Wars 1313, a cancelled video game. Boba Fett, a movie that was repurposed into a show. Star Wars Detour, an animated show that was already finished but never came out. I can't imagine why.
Hey, so, how's my nose look?
Speaking of which, Star Wars Episode 9 by Colin Trevorrow, the original version of the latest film in the sequel trilogy. J.J. Abrams stepped in with his improved version. Similarly, Michael Arndt, Little Miss Sunshine's writer, was the first to write the script for Episode 7. J.J. Abrams also stepped in. What kind of magic do you need to be bad at your job and still get so much money?
We don't know. Mystery box.
Rian Johnson Star Wars trilogy. Cancelled. Don't panic. Rangers of the New Republic. Cancelled after Disney fired Gina Carano. Oh, the Obi-Wan Kenobi film trilogy was also a promise. It ultimately became a show with a different creative team. David Benioff and D.B. Weiss wrapped Game of Thrones in a couple of choppy seasons to get Disney's cash and work on a Star Wars film. Great plan, guys, because it never happened. How about Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron? It faded into oblivion after Wonder Woman 1984. There was also a J.D. Dillard movie, an indie director, who cares? And finally, Disney pushed the next Star Wars movie release date from May 2026 to May 2027 never. I can't wait for Rey Skywalker to come back. Disney paid $4.5 billion for Star Wars. And how else are they going to recoup the money other than mass producing content? Do you expect them to take their time and hire the right people to produce something that is truly good and respectful of the existing material? So apply these steps to any geek properties like the MCU or the DC Cinematic Universe. As long as producers and investors, rather than creatives, remain in charge, these nerd properties are doomed to fail. Because this is what corporations do. This is how they approach the nerd things we love. Goodbye, subscribe, and keep the comment section
Civilized.